Got it. And we're live. Welcome to 5-Minute Friday, hosted by Startup TNT. And today, Zach Storms, that's me. I'm your host with a very special guest, Andrew MacIsaac, who together we are actually co-hosting the Life Sciences Investment Summit next week. So this is actually a little bit of a dry run for us, Andrew, wouldn't you say? We can feel each other out here.
I'd say I think we need to work on our sort of back and forth, our tete-a-tete, and maybe we can start coming up with some inside jokes to bring up in the event next week and confuse everyone who isn't a viewer of these 5-Minute Fridays.
That's right. That's right. So listen, Andrew, I actually am going to set a timer here because I like to stick to the schedule. So we're going to do this in 5 minutes flat. However, if we're really enjoying the conversation, we'll just go a little bit over. That's how I like to do it. Okay. So are you ready for this? I'm going to start us off with like a really simple question to just kind of warm us up, but we're going to go right into it. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. First question. What is your name and job title?
My name is Andrew MacIsaac, and I'm the CEO of Applied Pharmaceutical Innovation.
And tell us, what is Applied Pharmaceutical Innovation, Andrew?
Excellent question. So we're a not-for-profit organization that launched here in Edmonton about 4.5 years ago. And what we're focused on is building the life sciences the life sciences ecosystem here in Edmonton, Alberta, and Canada more broadly. And we do that by supporting the ability of companies to do commercial R&D here, attracting investment from outside of the province, as well as helping startups, spin-offs, entrepreneurs get access to the capacity to de-risk their discoveries and move them into the stage where they become viable companies with things moving towards the market that will save lives and make society a better place.
Yeah, one of the interesting models you guys use is really taking advantage of the expertise at the University of Alberta. Can you maybe expand on that a little bit? Like, how are companies being able to leverage all the great expertise in pharmacology and pharmacy at the U of A through your system?
Yeah. So there's a lot of expertise within post-secondary universities, not just the U of A, but also more broadly, that is really set up in a model for academic discovery. And when you come in from a commercial component where you're looking to de-risk an invention, while there might be things that are applicable, they're not always structured in a way that makes sense. And so what we do is we have our staff from API, we've got about 40 staff working alongside academic PIs and labs, making it easy for them to integrate into industrial problems. And at the same time, providing access to that sort of world-class discovery research that we do so well here within the province, and really enable it to help companies succeed and grow.
Love it, Andrew. Also impressed with that number you just dropped, 40 staff. Let's go back in time for a moment, Andrew, because we usually think of entrepreneurs as building for-profit businesses, but I look at you and an API story, and I would say you're very much an entrepreneur building a not-for-profit business. Tell us a little bit about how it came about and kind of how you fell into this role.
Yeah, for sure. And you are correct there. I don't really talk about that much, but essentially, the journey of the development of API, much like the journey of Startup TNT, is a journey of entrepreneurship. So we understand what it's like to build something. So I spent most of my career working at the sort of the intersection of industry and post-secondaries. And we had a continual problem looking at sort of spin-outs and startups coming out from universities. I used to work at UBC and then here at the U of A. And one of the biggest challenges was the lack of that type of R&D team for folks that could help them move forward and some of these access pieces. I met a great faculty member who had spent most of their career in industry, who was working in the faculty of pharmacy, and we sort of put our heads together, came up with a model. We then went and talked to about 150 folks in the industry, a lot of them who had come from Edmonton and then moved away to other jurisdictions and made it big, and got their insight, feedback, iterated a little bit, and then about 4.5 years ago, launched out API formally as a not-for-profit organization, basically tasked with achieving these objectives. And then it's taken off like wildfire since then. So now, we're a group of about 40 staff, 100 experts across the province. And the companies actually we've worked with have now hit a combined market cap of 500 million. So we're making an impact.
That's awesome.
Here within the province.
Yeah, that's awesome. I remember back when you guys first launched, there's an article in the paper, and just for everyone's reference, I like to bring this up. I don't remember which week it was, but it would have been one of our early weeks. Andrew, you brought the API team and some other entrepreneurs to one of our happy hours and paid for the entire bar tab. That was one of our biggest bar tabs up to that point. So awesome, Andrew.
Yeah.
And here we are.
We've got a great relationship. I think two scrappy crews who've set out to build stuff here. So that's why we love Startup TNT. Near and dear to our hearts.
Well, yeah, thank you, Andrew. It's been great working together. And tell us a little bit about what the future holds for API. I've seen an announcement just recently, 5.6 million for the Canadian Critical Drug Initiative. What's that?
Yeah, so one of our big programs right now is looking to build large-scale manufacturing here within Edmonton on the sort of pharmaceutical space. It's a total $169 million project that we've got about 50% funded. And we're hopefully in the next few months going to get the final funding secured to break ground. And essentially what it'll enable us to do is right now we work with companies as they are sort of in the earlier stage to early medium stage of growth in the life sciences. So they're getting into clinical trials or they're in phase 1 or 2 clinical trials, and having this will enable us to support companies all the way to the market. Then at the same time have the added benefit of ensuring supply chain resiliency in COVID-19 and beyond, because a lot of the drugs that we use every day are manufactured outside of Canada, and so we're using this as a seed to help build a cluster there within Alberta that we think will solve a lot of those challenges.
So this would build out manufacturing capacity here in Edmonton or Edmonton and Calgary across Alberta?
Well, because we work in a network model, we're sort of spread out. The facility will be based around a plant that we have within the Edmonton Research Park that's being transferred over. That's previously been a home of a lot of pharmaceutical companies, but we also need to build additional capacity nearby and expand out more ability to grow companies and incubate them, provide them with access to that lab infrastructure, and ensure that they're able to hire and grow quickly as they de-risk.
Okay, Andrew, I'm looking at our time. I'm over time here, but that's all right, because you know what? I think I'm the producer of the show, I believe, so I can just go over time whenever I want to. And I actually need some personal advice. We always like to learn a little bit from the speakers, not just learn about them. So I'm actually struggling with something personal that I think a lot of entrepreneurs struggle with, and that is setting up a proper board of directors. And I know that you have an awesome board of directors. Do you want to share with us a little bit, like, how did you set up your board of directors? What's your philosophy on putting together a great board of directors for the organization?
Oh man. So, especially for a growing company, the board of directors really need to be your champions. They need to open doors for you. They need to provide you with good sort of insight and guidance. And they also need to be, sort of that sounding board that you can trust and sort of throw ideas off with. And each company sort of depends on where they're at in terms of their stage and what their unique needs are. When we built out the board for API, really what I was looking for was folks who continue to sort of show the validation of what we're doing, the importance of what we're doing. So very specifically, we built out a lot of folks who were very senior execs in the life sciences space. So the CEO of DynaLife, the gentleman who runs the Gilead manufacturing plant in the Edmonton metro region, the CEO of a global clinical trial CRO. Like, we really were looking to get that industry engagement piece. And then as we grew, I then did second rounds where we continued to sort of expand out. We brought on a VP from Alberta Health Services, you name it. And in terms of getting a good board, the way that it worked for me was I was out there engaging with industry talking about our model, getting feedback and insight. And some of the folks who had been very great at giving me good feedback and insight were the ones that eventually I said, hey, do you want to join the board? And we actually had this, I had a conversation with our board chair the other day. And I was saying, well, yeah, like, what did you think when we asked you to join? She's like, yeah, I wouldn't have joined when we had our first conversation, but after we had sort of workshopped with her the idea of what we're trying to accomplish, she got a lot of buy-in, and I think that that's been the case for a lot of folks. So, if you're looking to recruit a board, make sure that you build a dialogue, become very comfortable with them, and then make the ask, and sort of see if they'd be interested, especially if you're a not-for-profit like Startup TNT, because you can't compensate your board members. So they have to be volunteer and they have to have buy-in in the mission. So yeah.
All right, that's great advice. I like that story where you kind of built out a relationship with the board members, got feedback from them, and then that helped you identify which ones were a good fit for the organization long term. Yeah. Okay, listen, I think we should probably wrap it up with maybe 2 more questions. How's that sound?
That sounds good.
Let's talk about a fun one first. Life Sciences Summit coming up next week. We got 5 companies presenting. We got dozens of investors. We're looking at lots of deals happening next week. What are you looking forward to the Life Sciences Summit?
To be honest, I'm looking forward to co-hosting with you for more than 5 minutes.
It knows the way to my heart.
No, I'm just kidding. It's going to be great. I think we've got a really good spread, and we've got folks from across the province and beyond. So it's always those types of things where you really won't know what your favorite part is until you take part in it. So maybe bring me back in a week, and we can have another 5-minute Friday, and we can have a debrief on the conference. But I think it's going to be great.
Short answer: the entire thing is going to be great. I'm looking forward to every moment of it. How am I supposed to pick one moment? Of course. Okay, what about to the future? Let's look to the future of API. Maybe I'll give you options. You want to talk about maybe what's the future of API look like, or what does the future of life sciences in Alberta look like?
Well, it's huge amount of growth happening right now. The recent stats came out that VC investment in life science companies in the province doubled over the past year. We started to have a lot of really big wins. Companies they're doing big deals. Entos just closed a massive deal with a large pharma. Next week, we've got a big announcement coming out with one of the global leaders in the pharma industry. And we're having a comms chat with our team earlier today, and we started to realize that we actually don't have enough good days in the week to put out all the news that's happening, both here in Edmonton and Calgary, more broadly in the province and across the country. So I think there's a tidal wave of momentum that we're just starting to see the initial little bits of, but that will continue to excite and inspire for the next year.
Well, I love to hear that, Andrew, and I think we can second that by looking at the deals that applied to the investment summit, doing the due diligence on them. Really interesting companies coming out of Alberta right now. We're working with Alberta life sciences ecosystem to build their products. So it's going to be a great event next week. Thanks so much for joining us, Andrew, and I hope everyone can join us next week for the Life Sciences Investment Summit, the inaugural one happening right here in Edmonton. So thanks again. Bye-bye, everyone.